with that, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 22nd meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion from Chad,
Paul will second.
and I have a second from Paul. Any further discussion on it? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. When it comes to voting on ordinances and resolutions, I will ask for a roll call vote. So Renee, the next thing on the agenda is a request for proposals for the grant administrator.
Yes,
And
indeed.
This is for what we're applying for the Okra relief funds, the COVID relief funds.
Okay, the first response is from Southern Indiana Development Commission in Lagodi. At this time, our current workload will not permit us to furnish a bid on this project.
Okay.
The next response is from River Hills Economic Development District and Regional Planning Commission in Jeffersonville. Says, unfortunately, River Hills must decline submitting a proposal as requested due to the project's location. Jasper is outside of their area. The third response is from Indiana Regional 15 Planning, Indiana 15 Regional Planning Commission. So I think that this was sent out and advertised as, I'm not sure. Let's see here. The proposed grant and administrative fees are $6,250. And then the rest of it includes their list of individuals that would be working on the project, their proposed scope of services, and their experience, other projects. So I believe, I don't have the list to whom the request was sent out, but I know that we sent it out to 5, I think at least 5 in total, could have been more than that, but at least 5. So it looks like Indiana 15 was the only respondent that gave a responsible and responsive submission.
And from what we know, that is a reasonable amount for this project. It's in the amount, the grant that we're seeking is in the amount of $250,000.
And I believe that they would not, they would not charge us anything until we know if we get the grant.
Okay.
Renee, what's the timeline on that?
Oh gosh, Kevin, I'm not the lead person on that. I can't.
Renee, it's at the back of the proposal.
I have a few notes.
Oh,
Oh, go on, Jenny's on there.
Jenny's
Okay,
on.
Go ahead, Jenny.
That's great.
Good evening, all. I'm Jenny Mottis with the Indiana 15 Regional Planning Commission. Just to give you a quick timeline, proposals for this application are due next Friday, January 29th. Between proposal and the application, which is actually due February 26th, the city will be required to hold one public hearing. And we, if Indiana 15 is selected, we would like to hold that public hearing at the next city council meeting in February. Awards will be announced then on April 1st, if the city is selected for this process.
And
Thanks,
Jenny,
Jenny.
my notes read that we would hope to get the money by June.
Yes. They are hoping for a quick turnaround on these because they are impacting small businesses, and we know that small businesses cannot wait much longer in COVID times. So they are hoping to get this money out quickly. It does take a little bit of time between awards and finalizing some paperwork as far as Ochre goes and getting things set up to get the money out. But we are hoping for a quick turnaround.
So I think I need a motion to accept the proposal from Region 15 Planning as our grant administrator for the Ochre COVID relief funds.
I'll make that motion.
Who made the motion?
John did, and I can second it.
Okay, John Schrader, and then Nancy has seconded it. Any
Yes.
further discussion on it?
One quick note from do I need to recuse myself since I'm the city's representative
Yes.
to Region 15, please? So I will
Yes.
recuse myself from this vote.
Well, and Mayor, maybe a little
Okay.
more discussion on what we would use that money for. Because there's several categories of what you can use the money for, but as a small committee, we had looked at doing it to provide businesses with payments so they could continue being in business. I guess that's a kind of a broad
Yeah,
way of putting it.
we would establish a committee to screen the applicants and then provide the grants to the applicants as long as the funds would allow.
Right.
The city
But
can make,
it is
if they,
intended for small business.
yes, the city, if they so choose, can make grants of up to $10,000 to small businesses.
Right.
Other areas that have received this money have awarded the total $10,000. Others have done smaller amounts but funded more businesses depending upon the need that was expressed at time of application for these, or once the funding was received, that the interest that was received from businesses, they funded more so that they could reach more businesses in their community. But that is totally up to the city once you decide, or once you receive the money, how you decide to spend it.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Okay, so I had a motion. Did I not? I did have a motion on this.
Yeah.
And John, a second from Nancy.
John and Nancy, okay. And no further discussion. If not, then all in favor. I think we need to do a roll call vote because Paul has recused himself. Alan, would you go through the roll call?
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Bill Mundy.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all for the opportunity to be able to work with the city on this great opportunity. And I hope to have wonderful news for you come April.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny.
Absolutely.
Look forward to working with you. All right, next on the agenda is, it's 2021, comes around once a year. Need to select our president pro tem, and Kevin has been our president pro tem as long as I remember, Kevin. So from here, I guess Has there been any discussion? Is anyone else interested in that? Or do we want to make a motion from the council? to-
I'll make a motion to keep Kevin on as the president pro tem.
I'll second. I'll third.
I have a motion from Dave to keep Kevin as president and a second from
Phil.
Phil and
A third from John.
a third from John. All right, is there any further discussion on that? Is there anyone else that want to be nominated or not? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay,
Did anyone abstain?
no.
Okay.
All right, Kevin, congratulations. It was a landslide vote.
Yeah.
All right, Alan, we have encumbrances. Oh, no. I'm going to turn this now. Kevin, I think the council has a couple of appointments to make. One is Chad Leakin to the DuBois County Solid Waste Board, and that's an annual appointment by the council.
We can do those together, can't we? There's a second one.
And there is a second one, that's Adam Alford to the Utility Service Board, and that's a 4-year appointment.
Right. And I'd make a motion to approve both of those appointments.
I have a motion from Kevin.
I'll second that
second.
motion.
I have a second from Nancy. Any further discussion on it? If not, all in
Mayor,
favor?
I have a
Yes.
question. When
Go ahead, Jeff.
we vote, am I allowed to vote for myself?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Just
You are.
like in an election, you are.
Okay, very good.
Okay. So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Congratulations to the appointees.
Again, I assume no one abstained.
I heard no one raise their
Okay.
voice or signal such, so. Encumbrances, Alan.
Okay. Encumbrances are what these are contracts that were either signed or we have purchase order from 2020 that we haven't paid yet going into 2021. So right now we're looking at the general fund has $509,672. Park and Rec has $378,925. The edit fund has $87,550. Riverboat fund has $18,055, and Stormwater fund has $270,050. And the fire pension fund has $39,000 in it. Are there any questions about what these are? The big ones are the police department has to order 3 new vehicles. Here's the public works. Oh, then the other big one was Sternberg's. They ordered the 2.5-ton dump truck, just hasn't come in yet. And then the arts performances, most of those are artists that they've signed a contract with already, but they just haven't performed because of COVID, so they're moving them to 2021. Okay.
The good thing about the arts is I don't think we had many penalties at all because of the COVID. It was just a matter of negotiating to go into 2021.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the encumbrances.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Kevin.
Chad
I'll
will second.
second. Paul? Sorry, whoever.
All right, who was the second?
Chad.
I think I heard Chad. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking down. I've got new glasses, so I even have to look when I write now. It's
Paul had
tough.
the third.
I'm trying to adjust to it.
That's right. I'll take the
So,
third.
Motion by Kevin, second by Chad. Any further discussion on the encumbrances? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Next item is the conflict of interest for Jerry Sheeter. I think you've received a copy of that. Jerry is our representative to the IMPA board, and every year we go through and do this disclosure.
Mayor,
So you
I'll
know-
make a motion to accept the conflict of interest for Jerry Sheeter.
I have a motion from Nancy.
I'll second. John Schrader.
I have a second from John. Any further discussion on this?
Mayor, is that a paid position on their board? Do you know?
I don't know, Kevin.
Okay,
I
just
think they
wondered.
cover the expenses.
okay.
I don't think it's.
So
a
the
paid
city's not out
position.
any money.
No, I think they cover the expenses for him to participate in those meetings.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I have a motion from Nancy and a second by John. And I had one question. Any other questions regarding that? If not, all in favor of adopting this conflict of interest for Jerry Sheeter, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. And next item is the ordinance number 2021-1. This is an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance for the City of Jasper and its jurisdictional area. Do I have a motion to consider ordinance number 2021-1 for one reading only?
I'll make the motion to read it for one reading only, 2021. Paul?
I have Paul making the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I had Kevin in the second. And all in favor, we're going to have to do a roll call vote on this. It has to be unanimous, but all in favor, let's go through the roll call.
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay. Could I have a motion to have the ordinance read in full or by title only?
I'll make a motion to read by title only.
I have a motion from Nancy to read by title only.
I will second. Chad.
I have a second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye and a roll call vote.
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay, my internet connection is a little unstable, so some of that was in and out for me. I assume that it was a unanimous vote.
Yes.
It was.
Would the city attorney please read ordinance number 2021-1 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-1, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance for the City of Jasper, Indiana, and its jurisdictional area. Amending ordinance number 2016-30 and amendments thereto.
Could I have a motion to pass and adopt ordinance number 2021-1?
I'll make that
I'll make-
motion.
I had Nancy make the motion, and who was second?
I'll second. Paul?
And Paul. Is there any further discussion? Renee, you want to make any comments on this, or?
I can walk through it, or if you want me to.
or answer any questions that anyone might have, yeah.
It's pretty self-explanatory. We added in section 2, we added a number of items to various different sections, different zoning sections. That's the entirety of section 2. Do you want me to walk through each one of those? Anyone? Then section 3 just acknowledges that those items are included in the use matrix, so that any change that was added in section 2 will also appear in the use matrix. In section 4, we went to the medical overlay district and added the professional counseling and social services as a permitted use for office space. In section 5, we changed the fence standards so that any fence installed has to be there has to be a 2-foot setback recognized from the property line. And then in section 6, we added a number of definitions that were required due to the addition of the items in the second section in the different zones. And that is
Renee,
everything.
pardon me, on the one about the fence, that is for new fences going up, correct? Has nothing to do with existing fences?
That would be for new legally constructed fences. If there's a fence that is in existence right now that was not constructed legally or didn't have a fence permit, or, you know, for whatever the case may be, they would have to comply with the new law.
They would have to comply with the new law if they're reworking the fence, or they have to tear down their existing and.
They would have to either tear down their fence, make their fence compliant, or get a variance.
So if you build a fence in your yard a year ago and you don't have a permit, do you have to get a permit to put a fence in your yard?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And so a
Who's the
fence that's been in
enforcing
place for 30 years, if it doesn't comply with the standard as it exists right now, that individual would have to come get a variance?
No. First of all, we probably didn't have any fence permit requirements 30 years ago. So it would have been constructed legally. If someone put up a fence illegally and it remains illegal right now,
Okay,
they
that's what you're
ultimately,
saying.
yep.
Okay,
So
And who's the enforcing entity on that?
That's, that I would use Kenny. He would be the code enforcement officer that would go out. And then it would be probably my department.
who would you ask about if they have a permit or not? If you wanted to inquire, you know, in the city?
The property owner.
No, well, I mean, if you wanted to find out if a property owner had a permit to do it.
Oh, that would be the planning department.
Okay.
Renee, when did our current fence ordinance go into place?
I couldn't answer that except to say that the standards were adopted when we adopted the UDO. So if any changes were made at that time, then the existing language would go back to 2016. Did Chad disappear? Oh, no, there you are. Your box moved to a different
Yeah, it did.
location.
Other questions, comments?
I don't think Renee was finished with the definitions or something maybe like that.
Well, and that's the only other thing there is, the definitions, and those again were added because of the items that we added in section 2.
Okay. So with that, I have a motion from Nancy and a second from Paul. May I have a roll call vote, please?
John Schrader,
Aye. Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 2021-1 has passed. Okay, next item on the agenda is resolution number 2021-1. This is a resolution for one reading only. Could I have a motion for one reading only?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Dave,
I'll second.
second from Kevin. All in favor, signify by going through the roll call vote.
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay. So, and that was everyone, right? I missed
Yes.
one in there, so. Could I have a motion to have the resolution read in full or by title only?
I move that we read it by title only.
I have a motion by Chad,
Second from Paul.
second from Paul. All in favor again, do a roll call vote.
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay, would the city attorney please read resolution number 2021-1 by title only?
Resolution number 2021-1, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana, authorizing transfer of interest in real estate and acceptance of interest in real estate.
Could I have a motion to pass 2021-1?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Kevin,
I'll second.
second from John. Further discussion?
Does anybody want to see the map of the area?
You sent that to us, or someone
did.
did.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions about that? I think it's a good move for both parties, so,
It's definitely a win-win.
Yeah.
okay, with that, then we'll move on to the vote. Alan, you want to go through the roll call?
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Phil Mundy.
Aye.
Okay,
Hey, Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I need to add one thing. I apologize. So the legal description changed. I sent you a legal description, and after the fact this morning, actually, the legal description for the properties got clarified. So the ordinance or the resolution that I sent you is exactly the same, except that the legal description changed. So if you want me to show you a screenshot of the new, but what happened, if you remember, there were two parcels for the city of Jasper, and there was one for the city or for the school. I mistakenly thought that the parcel description that I had for the one city parcel was the description for both city parcels. it was not. So I had to add the description for that little smaller sliver that was down at the bottom. So that did get changed on the final copy of the resolution. And I can send that out to all of you.
So it did not go out to everyone, the revised? Because I do have a revised.
I don't
know
think it
Bernita-
did. I don't think
I
it
don't
did.
recall seeing that today.
I don't know.
So the
But
map that you saw, was correct. That did not change. It's just that the legal description to go with that map had to be corrected.
I don't see a problem with that.
I don't either.
No, we're good.
Okay. Oh, so
You're good on the motion and the
the
second
vote.
and the vote.
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, thanks for bringing it up, just to clarify.
Yep.
All right, so 2021-1 has passed. The next is Resolution 2021-2. And 2021-2 is a resolution of the Common Council, City of Jasper, Indiana, regarding declaration of local disaster emergency and authorizing suspension of certain local municipal code sections pertaining to signage and parking and otherwise permitting outdoor seating and merchandise display. Could I have a motion?
We read by one reading only? Paul,
Have a
sorry.
motion from Paul.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second from Nancy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. I'll take in that one reading only without a roll call, Alan. I'll save to that, okay? Ask for the motion to have the,
Sorry,
could I have the resolution read in full or by title only?
I make a motion, we read it by title only.
I'll second that motion.
from Chad and a second by Nancy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Will the city attorney please read resolution 2021-2 by title only?
Resolution number 2021-2, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana, regarding a declaration of local disaster emergency and authorizing suspension of certain local municipal code sections pertaining to signage and parking and otherwise permitting outdoor seating and merchandise display.
Could I have a motion to pass and adopt resolution 2021-2?
So moved.
John?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
I had a second from Phil, I think is the one I heard first. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Remember, this is had to do with the executive orders that we were trying to put in place as we went into COVID, trying to adjust how we were doing business and assist in our local shops in their advertising, the way they went about their business.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Tim.
If this makes sense and it's a good practice to be in, why don't we make it permanent? If it's good for the downtown businesses, I mean, COVID may be here for quite a while yet, but I mean, I'm struggling with just having an executive order when, if it makes sense and it's good for business, why wouldn't we consider putting it in?
that was going to be my question as well, Kevin, is if we're getting any complaints at all from the increased advertisement outside? I have not heard one negative comment about somebody's got too many signs out or this advertisement's not working well. That may be something that we need to revisit in the sign language for the UDO.
I think that's where we'd have to make that change, is in the
Right.
UDO.
Well, I just think if it makes sense during this time and it's good for business, we want to be good for business, so I think it should be discussed, Paul, at the plan
Yep.
commission or whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, in the meantime, on this particular ordinance or resolution, I mean, what is your end date on this? Were you extending it through August?
No, it's in here. It says through July 31st, I think. Is it-
July
yeah,
31st,
July 31st, 2021.
right?
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
It's in point number 2.
Well, and that would give enough time for the plan commission to review this also.
Right. That sounds good.
Okay. All right, any other discussion points? If not, we would need a roll call vote on this, Alan.
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Bill Mundy.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 2021-2 is passed. Thank you. The next one is Resolution 2021-3. And this is the transfer of the old library property to the Redevelopment Commission. So could I have a motion to consider the resolution for one reading only?
I'll make
So
that
moved.
motion.
Sorry.
I heard Kevin and Dave. Is that correct?
Dave was.
Even, I second it.
Okay, Dave and Kevin. I heard both your voices. It was a matter of blend here. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed?
Bruno.
Could I have a motion to have the resolution read in full or by title only?
Paul will make the motion to read by title only.
Motion by Paul.
I'll second.
I have a second by Phil. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Would the city attorney please read resolution 2021-3 by title only?
Resolution number 2021-3, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana, authorizing transfer of interest in real estate, property formerly known as the Jasper Public Library.
Could I have a motion to pass and adopt resolution number 2021-3?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I had Nancy and Kevin in there. Nancy, Kevin, is it okay for you to second that?
Absolutely.
All right. Open up for discussion.
Are we still waiting for the library to adopt their resolution regarding this?
Yes, I did talk to Greg Schneer, who's their counsel, and I think that he will have something for them at their February meeting. So we'll fill that in. Of course, if something would happen and they wouldn't pass a resolution, then it would come back to you at the February meeting.
And I got a question for Phil and John. As this property transfers over, I know you're going to put it out for, well, anybody that's interested to bring it forward. Is that something that you'll bring to the council before a decision is made on how to go forward with it? Will we have any input on it is my question.
I guess there's a request for proposal that's going out, but I would recommend that it would need city council approval after, if we accept some proposal that the city council would ratify it.
I would agree.
Thanks, John and Phil. I appreciate that. When we set this up from the very beginning, that was the way we were going to do things. But I just wanted to make sure that you agreed with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't actually think by code we have to, but I think that would be proper.
Well, I think the reason it would be better, when we move forward with anything, everything gets questioned. And to have 7 people on your side to explain it to the people in the community of why we're doing things the way we're doing it, I think helps every one of us. So that's my reason.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on it? I will say that there has been some interest generated in the property, so I'm looking forward to seeing those proposals and what is the potential for that particular property.
That's great.
So we have a motion by Nancy, second by Kevin. Can we have a roll call vote?
John Schrader,
Aye.
Chad Leakin,
Aye.
Dave Hurst,
Aye.
Paul Lori,
Aye.
Kevin Manley,
Aye.
Nancy Eckerly,
Aye.
Bill Mundy.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 2021-3 has been adopted. All right, next things are informational only. With regard to the pandemic, of course, you guys get the news as well, but there's, as of today, we had 24 new cases reported. We had 77 total deaths since the pandemic started. And we had 2 of them reported today. That's where it hurts the worst, is when we lose some members. But the 7-day positivity rate's now at 16.1%, and the health department is indicating that it's continuing to decline from the peak that we experienced as a result of the holidays over Christmas. With all the gatherings that took place, they anticipated a peak. We witnessed it. We've seen that. The vaccinations, all vaccinations are now directed through the Du Bois County Health Department. Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center has discontinued administering vaccinations. The Du Bois County Health Department has been administering about 450 vaccinations a week. Today, the health department announced that 1,200 doses have been made available, and they will administer the vaccinations by appointment at the Jasper Middle School on January 23rd from 8 to noon and 1 to 5.
What age group is that for?
I'm sorry?
What age group is that for? I like right now. it's
Currently, it
70.
is for age 70 and above.
Okay,
So even if you had an appointment later on, you can move it up now to get your vaccination this Saturday, is what they're saying.
Mayor, is that first dose and second dose? Is that how it's calculated?
No,
Just one dose?
1 dose.
And they're only going to need 1 dose?
No, they'll need a second.
Okay.
They'll need a second. So the state right now is assuming that once you get to a percentage of the population, Kevin, as you asked about the age groups,
yeah,
once you get to a percentage of a particular age group, like right now it's 70 and above, then they will decide to move on to the next group, because they anticipate that not everyone's going to get a shot. So they have in their modeling a certain percentage. So hopefully we'll continue to move and get to these other age groups. The Du Bois County Health Department has also been actively enforcing the mask mandate. And, that's always been a question out there in the public, is who's enforcing this stuff? Well, it is the health department. The sheriff's department isn't doing it. It's not our police department. It's not our code enforcement officers. It is the health department. And they do have assistance, though, through the state. But there's steps that they take with a business that might be in violation. And they only go where they get complaints. They're not out looking in windows and doing that kind of stuff proactively. It's where the complaints come from, because the public is giving them feedback on this. But they issue a warning. If If it happens a second time, then they issue a cease and desist order. And the next violation would be closure. And the closure is for a minimum of 48 hours, at which time they must submit a plan to the health department that must be approved. So it could be a minimum of 48 hours. It could be a lot longer if they want to drag it out. They have had to execute at all phases, at all stages so far in the county. Not much. Our businesses have been very respectful and compliant in most cases. But for those situations where the public feels like it's a health risk, they've stepped in. And I just think it's important that we share that with the council, because you get asked questions all the time about this stuff, I'm sure. So with that, it's about all I know with regard to COVID. I do know it's no fun being on as many of the people on this call know, if you're on a close contact list, it's no fun being isolated. It's no fun being quarantined. And, it's going to be good to get back to normal, but to do that, we need to get our population vaccinated and moving forward. Next thing I had on here was the upgrade on the GIS system, but I did provide that in my update. I don't know if there's any questions on it. But I think this is coming from our utilities and from our engineering group. I feel very comfortable that we need to do this upgrade, and they see the value in it long term as well. I also had as an update the code books. So Renee, is there anything we want to comment as far as the codification of our Unified Development Ordinance?
Sure. Just to make everybody aware of what it is that we're talking about. Currently, as you know, we have hard copy code books. And then we also have a version of the code book online. However, there is never a point in time when the code book online is up to date. So, for example, right now, we would be taking under our normal procedure, we would be taking all of the ordinances that we passed in 2020 and giving them to Indiana 15, who has historically been the company or the entity that's done that codification work. And then we get that back about probably March or April. And so from that point on, the 2020 municipal code or ordinances that we've passed are codified. However, that leaves out January, February, March, and it's not until the following year that we pick up the whole year. So it just it just doesn't seem reasonable. It's not very user friendly. Whether it's staff or the public, there's nowhere that they can really go to look at our existing code. So we've been working with a company called Unicode who does codification. They have several options, but most importantly, what we want to do is get as close to live as we can, so that within 30 days, what you pass in a meeting will be codified and online and available for folks in the community. Now, of course, if the effective date is not immediate, then it would not get codified until based on whatever that effective date would be.
Yeah, it's going to be much more user friendly in this way than what we have today. It's really hard to find out who's on first, who's on second, who's on third with regard to some of these.
Does the fee from Unicode compare to Indiana 15?
That's a good question. We are actually waiting for the revised fee schedule, We had a meeting about a week ago, and I had a follow-up telephone conference with the representative. And based on our group meeting and my phone call, we kind of ironed out what option would be best for us and what add-ons. So he's supposed to be sending me a new revised fee schedule. I believe that for the initial conversion, there's going to be a one-time charge that's going to be something like $7,500. After that, I think it will be very, very comparable, maybe even less expensive.
Yeah.
Renee, do we currently put on our website ordinances that we're considering that are being thought, debated or deliberated?
No.
So if someone wants to see that from the public, they got to call you up and request that be emailed to them or come get a copy. Well, I guess right now they can't come get a copy.
That's true.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, it's kind of a connected issue. Is that something that they would do for us?
It was an option that was available.
Mhm.
It is an option that's available.
I'd be a fan of that. I think being user friendly to the public is important.
Okay.
Okay.
Renee, you can at least look at the cost of it, and let's look at the cost before we decide to do that.
Sure.
Well-
I can, when I get the revised fee schedule back, I can certainly share that with you all.
Okay.
And have you talked to other communities that use Municode, and are they happy with the results?
They did provide us with references. I was most concerned, frankly, about the conversion of our UDO because it has a lot of diagrams and it's not just a Word document. We have a specific software that we use to codify those ordinances. And so I did specifically ask them about that, and they pointed me to 3 communities who use the same software that we do. And so I'm going to, I have looked at one of them. It's not quite as colorful as what our existing UDO is, but I think that they can accommodate what we need in our UDO. And then the other thing is that it's completely searchable. So if somebody wants to open the whole code and then search for animals, they can do that, and it'll pull up every ordinance that has the word animals in it, as opposed to right now where you have to go through each title individually and search. So I've seen a lot of communities that use this company, and as soon as you log on to a community's code, you can tell whether it's Municode or not. And I've just, in my years of researching, have come across a ton of communities that use this service.
Do you remember any of those 3 that utilize the same software we do, Renee, off the top of your head?
Yeah. Just keep talking, and I'll be able to
You're
tell
fine.
you all 3.
You're fine.
Okay.
Be interesting to see. Go ahead. Sorry, Mayor.
No, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, it would be interesting to just take a couple minutes to log on and see. And then, like Chad said, I've had a few people in my short tenure here ask, what's coming up in the city this next week? And I never know whether or not we talk about the ordinances at all prior to them coming or not, or how they would find out if something is going to affect them directly. They find out usually if they come to the meeting or after we've passed it.
So
Yeah,
sorry.
No,
So
you're
the
fine.
communities that are using, the communities that he referenced are Hayward, Hayward, California, Mesa, Arizona, and Sandy, Sandy Springs, 2 words, Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, this is Brad Eckerly. Can I comment at this time?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry to intrude if not, but I just, for reference in your discussion, I'd certainly apply it to certainly being a user. For example, yesterday, I was in a city that not familiar, but looking at a project, and what Renee just described, we were able to obtain then the ordinance that were in place, allowing us to then establish for potential site development what those requirements were per their codified ordinances. So certainly, I mean, obviously, you know, in coordination with Renee and being here, we're able to get through and aware of it here locally, but certainly it'd be a benefit, not only for us, but, you know, even for others that are working with the town, certainly.
Appreciate your input on that, Brad. Okay, any other questions regarding that? I'll move on. We wanted to just provide a little update on what we're doing here. We're still in the due diligence. We haven't signed any agreements. We're still trying to get quotes and define scope. 15th Street extension is a part of the multimodal transportation plan. 15th Street is really being highlighted, I guess, as we start looking at the Legacy 2 development that's getting ready to launch out there, and how do we connect to the west end on 56. That's a big topic, and I know the transportation plan has not been adopted yet. It will be presented. I think it's going to be at this next planning commission meeting, if I remember.
That's right.
And we'd like council to attend if you could. It'll be virtual. I think, Paul, is the planning commission meeting this next time.
That's correct. Yep. And I believe that date is February the 3rd.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 3rd at 7 p.m. If you counsel, if you're available, we would appreciate you being able to log in that evening. We're gonna have the presentation from Lockmuller Group as to the transportation study or kind of the culmination before we bring it with a recommendation to the council for a vote. So that'll give everybody a good idea or kind of a prequel, if you will, as to what's coming from the transportation study.
Okay. So there's a lot of work to be done on that. We're talking to a bunch of individuals that might be impacted on this, but beware that there's a lot in that transportation plan, and there's a lot in our long range plan that requires us to consider that 15th Street extension. Then the solar field, I think it gave you a little update in my last week's notes. Everything's looking good right now. IMPA did come to an on-site visit, and they feel pretty positive that this is a great site for such a solar field. So we're trying to work through what does that mean? And it is going to impact the radio-controlled aircraft club that's out there. So we're going to have to figure out where they might be able to relocate. That is the ideal area for a solar field, right where they are. But, that's something we'll work through. We'll work with them and try to find another location. The solar field is about a $20 million investment. And so it's got quite an impact on county revenues as well. Let's see, I think that is the only things I had on my updates. Is there anything else we need to bring forward to the council?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to give just a brief update on downtown revitalization.
Sure.
Right now, currently, they're preparing a budget for the infrastructure, what the cost would be. It's been expanded a little bit over what we originally started with at 2nd Street, Main, all the way up to the square.
All the way to 9th Street.
Yeah, to 9th Street, I'm sorry, around the square and up to 9th, yes.
So we're defining scope right now, yeah.
Right, defining the scope. But before we move forward with anything, when the plan gets together, we get our costs together and everything, then we'll come and talk to everybody on the council at a council meeting so that we can get up front and make sure that when we did this the last time, it was at the very end of it was when it was brought to us and it was voted down. And I don't want to get in that situation again, ever again. So we want to back this up and do it and really have everybody involved up front before this is approved and everything. And I want to make sure everybody knows what the plan design is, how much the costs are going to be, where that money's going to come from. Mayor's looking into that. I mean, and Alan has to look into that. But we want to make sure that we get everybody's approval up front and all those questions answered, because I know there's going to be questions around the design of different things. So I just think it's important to be on the front side of that rather than on the back side of doing that. The other thing that's a debated issue, it's not been decided upon yet. I feel very strongly that when we get this information, it needs to go for another RFP so that we can see if anybody else wants to bid on it. Because when I look at the plan, I think that the cost with Rondell Ernstberger for their part in what they'd be doing, to me seems like an awful lot. I mean, it just seems like an awful lot. And I would like to see somebody else, if anybody else would be interested, just to see what their cost structure would be to carry the project on through. So that's really the update on it of where we're at, and that part's still under discussion yet, but I want you to be aware.
I would also clarify that that is Kevin's opinion. That is not necessarily the opinion of the entire working group, but
That's
we're
true.
working through that. So we're going to come to an agreement on how we want to go forward. Okay.
Yep.
So I have a question,
Sure.
Kevin, if you could maybe describe for me, what do you feel like the sticking point was when it got voted down last time?
Well, the last time it came back with pavers everywhere, and it came in at 2.5 times over what we thought the budget was. There wasn't a budget set on the front end of it. We had no idea. We gave a number that we thought it should be about. And that was basically by using Jeff Tysing's numbers on concrete and different things that was going to be affected by it. But in the very end, it came back that it was all going to be pavers. Everything was. And the cost of that was, I don't know, $4.5 million, $5 million. And we had anticipated the project going to be around 2.2 million. And we had $1 million of that was from the Community Crossings grant. And that's the $1 million we talked about at a previous meeting that we had to end up giving back because we couldn't, we didn't have the plan far enough along to actually execute the project. So that's what the issue was. And 6 out of 7 council members at the end had prepared statements not wanting to go forward with it. So, and we don't want to end up with that. That's not where I want to be anyway.
No,
So,
And just so you know, Chad, a lot of that information came from our constituents too, that, they put in their 2 cents on what was going to happen down there too. So it wasn't just 6 out of 7 that said, no, we're not going to do it. We had a lot of input from other people in our districts too. So just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
it was a very contentious issue at the time. And all I'm trying to say is I don't want to go through that again if we don't have to. I
Right.
want everybody up front to know what the plan is, and then you can give your feedback at that time.
Yeah, and
Because
I
we have
want
to
to,
approve the money yet.
that's
we
right.
have-
You guys are in charge of the funding.
That's right.
And I do want to make sure that you understand the reason we're dusting this off is because if you look at our long-range comprehensive plan, it's one of the top priorities. Our infrastructure is old, aged, and it needs to be replaced. And I'm hearing that from our utilities. Tim's actually expanded the scope of it, from the water department to take it down to Second Street. And Jeff has got to work with that as well with the streets then, stormwater. But, infrastructure is number one reason. It's got to be replaced. It's aged infrastructure. But when you do that, once you tear it up, what condition do you put it back into? And Kevin was right. When at one point in time, it was all pavers, but then they came back with a revision where it was asphalt in the roadways and the pavers were then in the pathways, and it brought the cost down quite a bit. But, you know, we're going to define the scope up front so we know what we're going to go in with. And then, and we'll have a budget to be able to give you at least what that range is. I think the surprise that we had, you know, at the end, it's unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. And we're starting over. We're using what work was done, and we're going to move forward, defining our scope. We've included the county in our planning right now because they're part of it. They have to be. The courthouse square is smack dab in the middle of our downtown. So they've got to be there. And there's a lot of questions there too. So obviously, if you read the paper, there's some issues or concerns. I'm sorry, Phil?
I did see that. Yes, I agree.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, at least the commissioners are reaching out. They want to get some clarification on that now. I hope the representation is representing the needs of the downtown well when they meet with the commissioners, but we weren't there, so I have no idea what was said or anything. We had defined, Kevin, in our last meeting, we defined what the hours, the ranges were going to be, and proposal to the county, but it sounded like they didn't get any of that. So
That was even another issue. If we go back to the first time we went through this, the county wasn't interested in putting any money or doing anything to help support the project. So hopefully we'll convince them to get on board with us a little bit and help.
well, I think it's going to
I will
benefit.
say, the mayor's done a great job of opening up the dialogue and making sure that those lines of communication are very open, and involved a lot of people in this kind of a committee to be looking at this.
It's not an easy project. Let's put it that way. It is going to be, there's going to be people that are not going to be happy, and there's going to be a lot of people happy. And I'm sure hopeful that it's going to make a big difference in downtown Jasper. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't have it as a priority. The public put it as a priority, remember? So that, I appreciate you bringing that up, Kevin, because it is one of those open projects. And there's a
Okay.
lot of open projects. Yep.
All right.
I did receive a happy call today.
I do have one question, just going back to what Kevin said about checking out other companies out. I don't understand why we wouldn't do that to begin with there. I mean, it's an old project, but it's been what, 2.5 years since we've done anything with it. Why would we not check around and see, you know, what the best company is and the money we can save or whatever on it? So that's my opinion on that too. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. All opinions, or anybody has input, you know, don't hesitate to pass it on, you know. All
Small
right.
project. I got a happy
With
phone call
that-
today from a constituent who said that they saw some stumps being moved down by the riverbank. So looked like that may be getting, I didn't drive by and see them, but I saw that was happening. They're moving things in. So I heard that was happening.
Yeah, the water level at Patoka Lake is down to winter pool, and the flow rate is low, and the water level is like 5 3/4 feet down here. So hoping next week of weather will get some substantial work done on that.
Looks like Gilligan's Island down there. If you look down there where that, I don't know what it is, island, I guess, it's really getting big down there.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. All
And
right,
last thing I'll have for you, Mayor.
anything else?
One last comment on there. I know I had asked a couple weeks ago. Have we heard anything yet? Again, are we getting anything back from Jeff or Chad on crosswalks on Portersville Road from the middle school, elementary school complex across to Tealwood Drive and 41st Street by chance?
They have a proposal. They were gonna, they landed on a proposal today. They met today on that, and they were gonna give it to the Greater Jasper School Corporation. Make
Okay.
sure they approve of it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that is a high priority, Paul. All right,
Thank you.
and thank you. And I appreciate, I'll go back Kevin, in your precinct, bringing forward the concerns about the Portersville Road and the walkways and the road. What we can do to make that a
Right.
more aesthetically pleasing as well. Okay. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
All right, our doors are always open. I say that. We open them up this week. So we open them up this week for meetings in person, scheduled meetings in person. But, you know, I'm looking forward to the day when we can just open up like we used to. Believe me, I miss the walk-in meetings that I used to get from council members. That when they were in the area, they'd stop by. And so you want to talk about, give me a call or, you know, give me a shout and we'll get together. We can always do one-on-one meetings. All right. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion, Mayor.
I have a motion from Chad to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Paul?
John, you still with us?
I am, believe it or not.
Okay, Dave seconded it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Have a good evening.